All right. Getting the stream going. Making some adjustments. Facebook is going live. Instagram is going live. YouTube is live. Twitch is live. Excellent. And now I just gotta put on my jams. My music. Probably feeling go with some Hawaiian for tonight. Perfect. All right. And forgive me if I don't see your comment right away, but I will be bouncing back and forth between the different streams that I have open. I'm streaming live on 4 different social media platforms. And so I'll just bounce back and forth, chat with people as you pop in, trying a new time, and more frequently, but shorter durations. So instead of going 3 hours, we're going an hour and a half. So 9 to 10:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight or Eastern Standard Time, whatever is in effect, Monday to Friday evenings. So that is my plan. Occasionally I'll have to make an announcement when I won't be on. For example, a week from today, I will not be streaming, most likely. If I do, it'll be late. But anyway, for today, I have a bunch of photos from a recent trip to the Lake Apopka Wildlife Drive, not too far away. And I just took these this weekend, and it was a lot of fun. We got there bright and early, right after they opened. I think we were there as early as like 7:35. We were really, really close to opening, and got some really, really great sunrise pictures here. Some of them came out a little fuzzy just because of the nature of the drive. You find places to stop, but sometimes you see something as you're moving, and it's not always the clearest. So this guy's a little blurry there. This one's kind of the same. I did get some good ones of him, but look at this color. It's just that morning light. It's so beautiful, and I really love the capability of my camera. I used uh, my Sony uh, A7R3, and I used a couple different lenses. I used the G70 to 350 lens. It's got an aperture of 4.5 to 6.3, so not too bad. It's got manual and autofocus settings as well as image stabilization. And so I really like that lens, especially since I played around with some of the settings on it, and I get much better pictures without the. It was getting like a, what do you call it, a vignette around the sides, and so I had to make some adjustments in the camera so that it would zoom into a point where that would not be a problem anymore. Um, and so now I get really nice photos this way. Oh, are you not seeing the? Hang on, let me check my YouTube. Okay, it will show up. It will show up if you're not seeing it yet. The photo I'm looking at here. Um, anyway, I was thinking about painting uh, something along these lines. Um, a bird over the grass with the sunlight. I have painted a lot of birds recently, so maybe something different just for that reason. Um, but yeah, I got some really nice shots. Really, really nice stuff. It's an ibis. Um, got some grackles. That one came out a little blurry. That's a crane. Did this one come out? That kind of came out. And then Heron doing some really strange poses there with his neck. I do like the shots that I got of the Anhingas. I gotta say that the camera work, particularly with the Anhingas, like the crisp, sharp detail, like how far I can zoom in here, um, it's crazy, super crazy. And I was definitely not close to the water when I took this shot, so really nice zoom. The other lens that I used was the 200 to 600. Um, I have a E mount Sony camera, so um, it's really really fun to play around with. Um, so I don't know, maybe something with an Anhinga, maybe. What else we got in here? Oh, there are definitely some gators. This one was a little blurry. How's this one? A little better. Oh, there we go. Look at this guy. Just floating along there. I will say that normally when I go to the Lake Apopka Wildlife Drive, I have no trouble seeing any gators. But I don't know if it was because it was a very cold morning, um, or if it was because we just got there super early and they hadn't quite woken up yet. Um, but we didn't see very many gators at all, which I thought was very strange because I never have trouble finding gators there. I see more gators than birds usually, but that was quite the opposite this time. He was just he was just chilling, floating along, living his life. I tried to get some of this red-shouldered guy. A lot of these were kind of blocked by the bush there. There he is. Got him yelling. He was really loud. He was screeching at the top of his lungs. I think this one might be a little better. Yeah, there we go. So that's kind of nice. Contender, maybe, for what we paint today. Here's more of a gator. A lot of these came out not the best. There's another grackle. He's kind of cool. They're also very loud. What else we got in here? Got some more flying shots. Think that's an Anhinga. Pretty sure. Also got these. I need to look these up. I do not know what bird this is, but I got some great flying shots. I really need to figure out what these are. Look at this one. Love this one. Really interesting composition. I wish some of these came out just a little bit blurrier, but they kept moving, and it's hard sometimes to get the camera to do what you want it to do. It focused on the grass instead of the bird, unfortunately. And then these guys were all overlapped. I did get him. This one's not bad. Could be better. But yeah, some really interesting flying poses. Love this one. Hmm. We'll think about that one. It's an interesting pose. And then got this one. This guy was pretty close. Not too far from the shore. I think I got out of the car at one of the pull-off spots to take this guy. Ooh, and here is a gator carcass. I have not seen a dead gator up until this point. It was just kind of floating there. I won't go into the details there, but I don't. I have to believe that either he just died of his own accord and got picked over, or more than likely got into a territorial dispute with another gator and lost. Um, but he was missing limbs and things. It's really hard to tell from that image. Um, but yeah, he was picked clean of his appendages. And I tried to get this osprey. He was very fast. And it's one of those things where I just couldn't quite get the exact picture I wanted. I think this is the clearest one I took. Look at his little feet tucked in there. Yeah, I think all these other ones are blurry. We'll check just in case. That's another bird I normally see a lot of and didn't see much of at all. And then we saw lots of coots all grouped together. Now, this is only the second time I've actually seen coots at any of the places that I go to photograph. And every time I see them, they're always grouped like this. They're always in these big huddles on the water, sharing territory with the gators. Now, I don't know if it's like a mutually beneficial relationship or if they end up being gator food or what, but it is funny to me that there's so many in these groups. This is a smaller group, but you know they'll be all near each other. They have really distinct white beaks and bright red eyes. I think I have a close-up shot from another trip. Oh, you can see the heron in the background there. Yeah, there's the heron. I was trying to get him. I have a lot of pictures of herons, so I wasn't as concerned with getting like a beautiful heron shot this morning. If one presented itself, you know, I went for it. I did get some, but overall, I just feel like that's not the kind of thing I need to be overly focused on snapping pictures of. Duck butt. There you go. There's that white bird again, the ones that I got flying. Yeah, but look at all these groups of coots. Almost all of them are coots. There's a couple ducks mixed in here and there, but there were just so many, and there's more than I could even put on the camera. Look at this. There's just so many. I did get the heron. He was walking by our car as we were driving. But yeah, I got some really nice ones here. Oh, it's a really nice raw image. Another nice raw one. What is that? It's a heron. I think it's a green heron? And that looks like a snowy egret. Oh, actually, that came out really nice. Some other flying shots that I was trying to nab. Just depended on if the camera wanted to work with me or not. This one came out nice and clear. And these are some of the shots that I'm most proud of and happy with for the trip that morning. After a long time of not seeing more than like 1 or 2 gators on the whole drive, a little over the halfway marker, this guy was just on the bank in a parking area, a pull-off spot, and he was totally just chilling. He didn't seem to be bothered by me at all. And so I just took the opportunity to take a bunch of pictures of him. And I think by this point we had already been driving for a couple hours. But yeah, just that. Oh yeah, look at the size of that tail. My goodness. It's hard to express just how big this gator was, but he was huge. He was really huge. Look at those fat rolls around his neck. I do like gators. I haven't done a gator painting in a while. That is perhaps a contender. I may ask for a vote for anyone who's watching based on the photos that we've looked at tonight. Which animal you think would be better to draw? But yeah, he was just really I don't think he even moved. He blinked once with this eye and only that eye. There it is. But he never moved. He just sat there, totally unfazed. There were some birds around him. I still need to look up what this one is. Some kind of crane, but he was completely white other than some speckles. And these are the kind of speckles that I'm used to seeing from in the movies, like with Harry Potter and his snowy owl. Like it was that same kind of spotted texture on the feathers. And he's completely white otherwise, except for his face, which was blue. So I'll have to look it up. I should have looked it up before the stream. But if there was if he was standing next to the gator, you might have a better idea how big that gator was. But I did get some shots of this guy. He was hopping around, bouncing in the wind. There was a lot of wind that morning. Another reason why it was so cold. Especially cold for Florida. And I tried to get this guy, but the camera just refused to focus on anything but the background at that time. Frustrating. And my wife took the camera for a minute and got some different angles on that gator. She wanted to get nice and low. He's just a happy fat gator. Anyway. We also got some vulture pictures. A bunch of them, once we got over to this area, same area as the gator, they all started landing on the roof of this little hut here. I think it's like a power supply generator or something for the water to keep currents moving, or some sort of filtration system. But you can see the fuzz on his head and the red color in his face, even though he's mostly in shadow there. And a really cool thing about a lot of birds is that their nostrils on their beaks go all the way across on a lot of different birds. It could be a trait on all birds, I'm not sure, but it's more prominent on some compared to others. I really like how this one came out. Yeah. It was just a really beautiful morning for photographs. Oh, I'm sorry. I took those other ones before. These are the ones my wife took. Yeah. She got... Yeah, this is definitely hers. Okay. And then we saw some other gators. Definitely saw a few more in the second half compared to the first. I thought this couple of ducks was really endearing. It's just a couple of ducks, but it was really cute. Oh, here's some more heron. Got some really nice clear photos of him. And then this guy was super close to the bank. And so he was on the opposite side of the car, and I had to lean out the window and aim my camera down toward him without scaring him off. But look at the texture of his eye here. On the brow ridge, and the eyelid, and all that texture in the eye itself. It's crazy. He was very close. And the second I pulled my camera away and got out of the window, he took off. So I think he was in like defense mode. I think he was ready to attack if he had to. But I was never gonna intrude on his territory. I just wanted to say thank you. And I did. I yelled thank you. Well, I didn't yell, but I said thank you out the window when he disappeared. I appreciated him being so still for so long. It's a cool picture of a grackle. Those cold blue eyes. Nice. Yeah, look at those eyes. Crazy. And their iridescent feathers, I like that. These are those really squawky birds that if you're in Florida, you probably see half the time in the trees near the parking lots. They're very loud and they never stay quiet. That's what these guys are. But yeah, look at the way the light reflects off of those feathers. Really cool. That's a nice one. Getting near the end now. Another gator shot. Not too many on the bank. Oh, I think that other one was clearer. Yeah. Here was a big boy facing the other way. I think this one might have been the same size, maybe even larger than the one that I saw on the bank. Most of him is not visible, and it's hard to tell from the angle, but he was very large. I can't even begin to guess how large because so much of him is under the water. But that's the tip of his nose over there, and just the sheer mass of this part of his head. That's crazy. This is the clearest ibis shot I got of the day. It was just hard to get him, and then he flew away before I could really get the camera to cooperate. Some more of these white cranes with their blue beaks. And I think this one, he's got his eyelid. Yeah. I got the eyelid closing on that one. Crazy. Cute birds. And then this is similar to one of my paintings that I have on my website. The colors and everything. I wonder if it is the same gator. I know I took the picture at Lake Apopka, and some of his patterning on his face and on his nose, it reminds me so much of the one that I painted. I would be something if I happened to see the same gator in the same spot at similar kind of lighting in that day. It's funny. And there was an old couple in front of us who had asked me when I had stopped off at one of the stops if I had seen any gators yet. And at that time I said I had only seen like one or two, and they hadn't seen any yet, so they were pretty upset. And then they went on ahead of us, and I saw them near a bridge, and they got to see their gators. So they saw this guy in the water, and they saw this guy who was hanging out under that bridge I was just talking about. And I did see a cardinal. I love cardinals. We have a bunch that frequent our backyard, but I've never seen one on the wildlife trail before. So he was there in the tree, very hard to miss, very very bright among the greens and browns of the trees. I tried to get some flying shots here. It's like it's like the shot that got away. I would have really liked that one, or even this one, to be more clear. I just didn't quite get it. Oh well. I tried with these two, but none of those came out clear. All right, so if you're in the chat and you're hanging with me and you got to see at least some of those photos, what should I paint? What should I draw? Did you put him behind a gate or somewhere? Oh my goodness. Boo. Terrible. Well, there's only one or two people watching, so I guess only one or two people get to vote on what I draw today. So if there is a particular animal that you saw from those photos that you would like me to draw today, go ahead and put it in the chat. You have 30 seconds. "15 seconds. If nobody votes, then I'm just going to pick. Like I always do. Also, if you're watching on Instagram, you're only seeing part of the feed. If you want to see the whole feed, you can check out my YouTube channel, or if you're connected with me on Facebook, you can watch me through there, or you could even watch me over on my Twitch channel. Same username, JWK Creates. You can find me at any of those. Alright, it's possible there's a delay and you haven't even heard that I'm asking for an animal yet. Possibly. But I have waited. So I'll make a decision until someone tells me otherwise. Alright, so what did I enjoy looking at most today? It's tough. It's tough. Maybe a gator, because I haven't painted one in a while. If I do a bird, it's got to be one I haven't painted before. Maybe I'll save this one for like an oil painting. I think it would look better as an oil painting than a digital. Alright, so gator it is. Unless somebody says something that I didn't see yet. Alright, so which gator? Probably this guy. Look at how cute he is. He just wants to be a friend. He's so handsome. I'm trying to find the clearest one to go off of as the main picture. I can go back and forth, obviously, between photos that are focused on the face and photos that are focused on the teeth. But I guess if I'm looking for one that's like the best overall, it's probably this guy here. Alright, so if you are watching the live stream and you're here to draw along with me, then go ahead and grab some drawing or painting utensils, whatever you prefer. I'll be sticking with digital today, although in the future I'll probably switch over to some more traditional again. It's been a little while since I've done traditional stuff on here. Alright, you got your stuff? You might want to take a screenshot too, because I'm not going to keep this up. I can make it, let me make it visible for the people on Instagram first. Make sure you get the whole image here. There we go. Okay. Yeah, you can see just about all of it. I'll shrink it down just a little bit. Just a little bit for you. You people on Instagram who don't get the whole picture. Cool. Alright, and for everybody else, if you want to take a bigger screenshot, there you go. Here's the big one. Alright. So I'm going to plop this one over on my other monitor and minimize that. And we're going to go to Clip Studio Paint today. I gravitate toward this one a lot. I'm just the most comfortable with it. It doesn't always do what I want, but generally I can get it to do pretty much what I want. Alright, and let's test the size. How's the size of this brush? Looks fine. Alright, I'll make it bigger on that other screen too, so I can see it a little better. Perfect. Alright, so I'm going to establish rough composition. And I'm just going to start drawing here. Sometimes I go for the circle method, the Loomis method. Other times I just kind of wing it and keep the pencil on the page and do, what do they call it, automatic drawing or something, where you just kind of let it flow. So, getting some of this done. Let's see, trying to get that strong jaw. Right, and then he's got more skin over this way, and then you could see his spine going off in that direction, his ridges, right? And then he's got his neck and his fat jowl right up under here. Keeping it loose, keeping it fresh. That kind of curves under a little bit. And then we'll just create the rough nose ridge there. And then create the top lip. Something like that. Yeah, watching how it kind of curves up over here. I still haven't taken my pencil off the screen yet. Trying to get that perspective on here. And have it go off that way. It's okay if you make a messy line. You can always refine it later. The important thing is that we are getting lines down at all, that we're just doing it. Can't get anything done if you don't start. Alright, and then this area up here, we've got these curving arched eyes. Right, and they kind of go up this way. Like that. And this ridge that comes up over here and kind of wrinkles down, stretches down this way, down and over, and then curves back like this, like that. And he's got the top eyelid that angles out a little bit and arcs back. Something like that. And it arcs down into the rest of the eye over here. And slopes out. Comes down this way. Back up in here. And over here. And the skull needs to be just a little bit bigger on the back side, and a little more to it. And then this eye juts out over here at a diagonal angle, like this. Okay, and it kind of cuts down like this. And has kind of a jut out this way. Goes out and then back down. Kind of curves in and swoops out where this nose juts. Something along those lines. Still keeping my pencil on the screen. Got these little ridges in here for detail. Ended up thinking about the way that it helps to kind of illustrate how the face is curving and bending forward. Right? And then this over here. Flips back up this way. Skull comes down a little bit under that so that this eye can pop out a little bit more. And this eye can also be a little more arched to help feel more in line with the eye across from it. I think technically I accidentally lifted up my pencil, but oopsies. Draw it all again. No, I won't do that. I want to get more of that happy cheek. Makes them look like they're smiling. And then he's got these nostrils up on the top. And then the actual holes. Oh, I had an itch. Okay. Well, I took it off. And we'll just kind of rough in a area for the teeth rather than worrying about the individuals at the moment. Just going to get the curve where the bottoms of the teeth stretch out to. I'll do the same over here. Cut this. And it kind of swoops up. I think it comes up like here. Right, like that. And then we'll do the same over here. Kind of comes back and comes down. Like that. And we'll round this out a little bit. Help it to feel more connected and flowing. Very good, very good. All right. So we got that down. And what we'll do is we'll do the overlapping shapes for the teeth. So we'll do curves in the direction of like a C, letter C. Do the same thing over here. Just on the side of the tooth that we want to be on the outside. Okay. And then get a little one over here. Bigger one there. And then little ones on the front. Met with bigger ones again. It doesn't have to be 100% exact with the image we're looking at either. I think when you start getting into this area, it's more like whatever looks right. That's what's most important. So something along those lines. And we're not really able to see teeth along this ridge here because of the way it's angled. I suppose we could put just a little one up in this direction here so we can tell that there are other teeth over in that way. All right. Get the eyelid corner, just a little bit of extra detail to help the shapes break up. Have that curve down there. That curve there. Just thinking about the lines that are going to indicate more about the form. Try to emphasize those. And once I have enough visual detail here, the next thing will be to start laying down some color, or value really. Start with the value, like I have been saying recently. And while I do that, I'll take a look at the chat and see if we have any new comments. If you're just joining, thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. If you're sticking around, thanks for doing that too. And if you're on Instagram, well, thanks for being there, but you're only seeing part of the image. If you hop over to my YouTube or my Twitch, you can see the whole thing. All right. Half hour left to go on my stream. So we're going to try to paint loose and quick as much of this as we can tonight. So I'm going to put an underlayer, grab a brush, is it this one? No, that's definitely not the right one. Where's my... Let's see. Ah, primary, there we go. That's too laggy. Ugh, it even erases slow. What's this one? Too saturated, I think. Do we just stick with the tried and true oil paint? Maybe. Alright, we'll do that then. So taking a look at these values here, I'm going to try to focus on getting values that are more or less in the right color range, but without focusing so hard on color. So let's start with the brighter ones first. And they're kind of like this sandy, bright, a little more pale, I think. Something like this. Let's try it out. And I'm just gonna paint it in quick. And I'll paint over the parts of this that go more in shadow because they're going to be a different value. Okay. And some of this comes up over here. Just gonna rough it in. Don't be afraid to be loose and scribbly if you're working digitally. You can always erase when you're doing digital. If you're working more traditional, take your time to experiment maybe on a separate piece of paper before you do something that you're not sure about. When you're making decisions that you're less confident with, you can always take a scrap piece of paper, try it out first, and then apply it if you like it. But I think testing things is necessary. Just making it kind of messy here. Like I said, focusing on value first and foremost. I think this is a good call. Especially when I'm using a mid-tone background. It really helps when I pick light and dark colors. They stand out much, much more clearly. And even with this scribble method, it's going to end up looking really nice. Just got to have patience with the process. And also, as you're doing this, you know, it's one thing to scribble, it's another thing to kind of scribble with a purpose. That's what I would say, is to scribble with a purpose. I'll go ahead and put some of those markings down for the spine. And he's got some more over this way as it brightens up into the shoulder area here. And there's more over here. And a little more tightened together because it's a more solid piece rather than spines. I'm thinking about the brighter areas of that face here. All right. And now we'll go for the mid. Looks like it might be somewhere in this range. Let's try it out. Hey, I think I got it. Pretty close to it. Right. Now the brush I'm using is an oil brush, and it's going to act like natural oil when I press it on here, so it's going to blend. If you're using pencil and paper or pen and ink, your method's going to be a little different, right? You're going to focus more on finer details and thicker, bolder areas by contrast. You're going to think about, how do I convey light? So your darks are going to be, really solid in form, most likely, and your lights are going to be more pinpoint focused compared to the darks. There will be some dark areas that do benefit from having a more focused approach instead of a more broad approach. But a lot of the darks are going to be something that you fill in big areas for on this particular image. You see how a lot of this is blending in? And see how this contrast here is providing form and light? The more I put these kind of colors in, the more this starts to actually feel like a 3D object, right? So I'm going to use the brush to my advantage here and kind of blend in some of these areas that are a little more soft and not as defined. If you're using pencil, you can take your finger or a blending stump and do the same thing. Where you've drawn, you can use your finger to smudge, or a cloth. Cloth would work. I say finger because that's what I tend to do rather than buy a tool. I do have blending stumps, but I tend to use those more for charcoal and not just pencil drawing, because you can always wash your hands, and you should. If you're going to blend with your finger, you should always wash your hands, but maybe don't wash them as you're in the middle of painting or drawing. At the same time, don't forget that you need to wash your hands, because you don't want to ingest graphite or whatever your pencil's made of. Just silly things that sometimes we forget ourselves about. I have almost taken a swig of mugs that have odorless mineral spirits in them before. Luckily, I think I would catch myself before I ever did anything like that. I hope. Like I did that time. But, man, it's definitely not something you want to swallow. Yeah, look at that light that we're capturing here. It can still be light, but it needs to be more in shadow than some of the other areas that are getting that direct sunlight, like near what I'm painting at the moment. Right? There's got to be a emphasis on the areas that are getting hit directly with light so that they help establish where the light is coming from. If we don't pay attention to that, and we're not sure which direction our light source is coming from, our form will look very messy as a result. Go ahead and add this up here. Do more of the same on this side. Like that. More stuff like this too. And my value doesn't have to be perfect at first either. It just needs to kind of get the right tone established from the start as a whole, but not as a, micro close-up. If you squint your eyes and you can see form and light, then you're on the right track, even if you're not finished. If you squint your eyes and you can't tell what you're looking at, you might want to pay a little more attention to your light source and the form of whatever it is that you're painting. Because chances are, if you can't tell what it is when you're squinting, you're probably not going to be able to tell what it is with your eyes open. At least not well. See what this contrast does? The contrast of this light and dark. It really just helps this to pop. It helps these ridges and edges to feel more prominent in 3D. It's really nice. And then we'll come down in here and we'll do more of the same. Just trying to be really loose like we've been talking about. Making sure that we're not making really big mistakes, but that we're more focused on getting those light values in the more or less right area. Okay. See how it's starting to come together? Getting that sense of light and depth. So what we'll do now is we'll grab another tone. This one's going to be a little lighter and a little more blue. Right, let's see how that looks. I think that's the right kind of blue that we're looking for. And so now I'm going to kind of speckle it in on top. Just roughly trying to imitate some of those same areas I see on the bridge of the nose. And this is kind of like a reflective lighting based on light from the sky and not the sun. It's important to pay attention to. Same over on this side. Very gently, not trying to overtake too much of what I've already established, but complement it instead. It's going to be on the top of the head too. Up around the back. Not so much on the top of the eye there, because that's where the direct light contact is being made. A little bit through here, where the light is just a little bit less bright. Some of this is also a lighter skin texture than some of the surrounding areas, which is why it appears similar, but is also at the same time not the same. In which case it just acts as a good mixing color. And we're doing pretty decent for only 20 minutes of drawing. A big part of this is because we're staying loose too, which is ultimately going to lead to a nicer looking image. Alright, and then the other color I want to bring into this area is, it's like a gray-green. Maybe too green. I think that's too bright. Let's go back down. That looks like the right color. So that's going to be these under areas here, right, where it's just a little bit darker. If we pay attention to gray in a different way, if we look at gray and we don't just say, you know, a colorless gray, a generic crayon box kind of gray, and we ask, like, what kind of gray is it? And we answer that question with a color, like a gray green or a gray blue, it's going to make our drawing feel a lot more connected. Because unless you're doing a grayscale image and you're not focused on color at all, the second you start adding color, you need to think about how that color affects everything else. And so gray is not exempt from that. Alright, I'm going to make this brush just a little bit bigger now. And what I'm noticing is that this gray color, while good for some parts of the face, is not good for all parts of the face. So when we start getting closer to that muzzle and away from the chin here, or the jaw, I should say, it starts to veer off in a different direction. and then we start getting those yellowy orange grays. So we'll go up here like that. Let's see how that looks. I think that's the color I'm looking for. So it's going to create a warm shadow. All right. And we're going to go to more of a pale yellow and brighten it just a little bit. Yeah, something like this. And we'll make it a little more yellow. Just kind of hint at it. Allow it to blend in a little bit with the other colors around it. Okay. There's a little bit of it on the under chin here, but it's really more that warm shadow. There's a little bit of that light color up in here, so we'll just kind of tap, 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 tap. Just getting some of that warmth up in the face. And getting a little bit of warmth over here too. Go back over to the golden. And mix it in on this under chin. Trying not to draw too much attention to this area, because the contrasting color will bring the eye over in this direction. So just be very careful and light with how you do it. Add some up in the eye area. Maybe shrink down the brush. Same for the eyelid. And see what color starts to do. Really starts to make it feel a little more alive. But be tasteful with it. Don't go crazy adding color everywhere without thinking about why you're putting it where you're putting it. There should be a reason why you're doing it. big. Just add a little bit. Oh, after it saves. Just add a couple touches here and there. Once again, not trying to draw attention away from key areas, but rather just trying to make this feel a little more natural and alive. And there's a lot of different colors in anything that you look at, probably more than your brain simplifies it to. Right, we're just coming up to the end of our streaming time. I think what I'll do is save the rest of this for tomorrow. So we'll focus on refining, we'll focus on adding some good deep shadows to really cast more form. You know, take a look at what we've got so far. The idea here is that if you zoom out, it should look like there's light and shadow and form, right? Can we still tell that this is a gator from a distance? Yes. Can we tell where the light is coming from? Yes. It's coming down this way, right? Diagonally down from the top left. So that's a good way to test. Clip Studio Paint automatically has that built in up in the top right, which is another reason I like it. You don't have to do any silly shortcuts or things to make this appear. And it works with a lot of different brushes. Integrates fairly easily, right? So if we take away our sketch layer, you can still tell it's a gator. And that's another way that we know that we're doing this right. So we'll go ahead and save it. Call it first night new stream gator. All right. And not because I've never streamed before, because I definitely have, but because this is my new time, officially starting today, 9 to 10:30. So, if you've been hanging with me, I hope you had fun. I'm going to check the chat, see who's around, if anybody said hi, had questions. Doesn't look like we had a very talkative group today, but we definitely had some people watching, so hope you had fun. And I'll catch you in the next one. Next one's tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Catch you later.